students, welcome to the lecture on performance appraisal, and after this lecture we will be able to learn the following objectives. Understand concept and objectives of performance, explain benefits of performance appraisal, define new trends in performance appraisal, discuss concept of potential appraisal, describe performance management versus performance appraisal. Let me tell you this, that people differ in their abilities and their aptitudes. There is always some difference between the quality and quantity of the same work on the same job being done by two different people. Performance appraisal of employees are necessary to understand each employee's abilities, competencies, and relative merit and worth for the organization. Performance appraisal rates employees in terms of their performance. Performance appraisal are widely used in the society. The history can be dated back to the 20th century and then to the Second World War, when the merit rating was used for the first time. An employer evaluating their employees is a very old concept. It is an indispensable part of performance measurement. Performance appraisal is necessary to measure the performance of the employees and the organization to check the progress towards the desired goals and aims. The latest mantra being followed by organizations across the world being "got paid according to what we contribute." The focus of the organization is turning to performance management and specifically to individual performance. Performance appraisal helps to rate the performance of the employees and evaluate their contribution towards the organizational goals. If the process of performance appraisal is formal and properly structured, it helps employees to clearly understand their roles and responsibilities and give direction to the individual's performance. It helps to align the individual performances with the organizational goals and also review their performance. Performance appraisal takes into account the past performance of the employees and focuses on the improvement of the future performance of the employees. The concept of performance appraisal, the methods and approaches of performance appraisal, sample, performance appraisal, forms and the appraisal softwares available, etc. An attempt has been made to study the current global trends in performance appraisal. According to Wendell French, performance appraisal is the formal, systematic assessment of how well employees are performing their jobs in relation to established standards and the communication of that assessment to employees. According to Flippo, performance appraisal is the systematic, periodic, and an impartial rating of an employee's excellence in matters pertaining to his present job and his potential better job. From the above definition, we can conclude that performance appraisal is a method of evaluating the behavior of employees in the work spot, normally including both the quantitative and qualitative aspect of job performance. It is a systematic and objective way of evaluating both work-related behavior and potential of employees. It is a process that involves determining and communicating to an employee how he is performing the job and ideally establishing a plan of improvement. Performance appraisal emphasizes individual development. Now, it is used for evaluating the performance of all the human resources working at all levels of the organization and of all types. It evaluates the performance of technical, professional, and managerial staff. Performance appraisal plans are designed to meet the needs of the organization and the individual. It is increasingly viewed as central to good human resource management. Performance appraisal could be taken either for evaluating the performance of employees or for developing them. The evaluative purpose has a historical dimension and is concerned primarily with looking back at how employees have actually performed over a given time period compared with required standards of performance. The developmental purpose is concerned with the identification of employees' training and development needs. Appraisal of employees serves several useful purposes. Feedback. It tells him what he can do to improve his present performance and go up to the organization ladder. The appraisal thus facilitates self-development. Compensation decision. It provides inputs to system of rewards. The approach to compensation is at the heart of the idea that raises should be given for merit rather than for seniority. Performance development. Performance appraisal can help reveal the causes of good and poor employee performance. Training and development program. By identifying the strengths and weaknesses of an employee, it serves as a guide for formulating a suitable training and development program to improve his quality of performance in his present work. Process of performance appraisal can be defined as establishing performance standard. The first step in the process of performance appraisal is the setting up of the standard, which will be used as a base to compare the actual performance of the employees. This step requires setting the criteria to judge the performance of the employees as successful or unsuccessful and the degrees of their contribution to the organizational goals and objectives. The standards set should be clear, easily understandable, and in measurable terms. In case the performance of the employee cannot be measured, great care should be taken to describe the standards. Once set, it is the responsibility of the management to communicate the standards to all the employees of the organization. The employees should be informed and the standards should be clearly explained to them. This will help them to understand their roles and to know what exactly is expected from them. The standards should also be communicated to the appraisers or the evaluators, and if required, the standards can also be modified at the stage itself according to the relevant feedback from the employees or the evaluators. The most difficult part of the performance appraisal process is measuring the actual performance of the employees, that is the work done by the employees during the specific period of time. The actual performance is compared with the desired or the standard performance. Comparison tells the deviation in the performance of the employees from the standard set. There are many types of performance appraisal methods. Some of them are job results or outcome, essay method, ranking, force distribution, graphic rating scale, behavioral checklist, behavioral anchored rating scales, BARS, management by objective, MBO. Though not an appraisal method per se, job results are in themselves a source of data that can be used to appraise performance. Typically, an employee's results are compared against some objective standard of performance. The essay method involves an evaluator's written report appraising an employee's performance, usually in terms of job behaviors or results. The subject of an essay appraisal is often justification of pay, promotion, or termination decision, but essays can be used for developmental purposes as well. Ranking methods compare one employee to another, resulting in an ordering of employees in relation to one another. Rankings often result in overall assessment of employees rather than in specific judgment about a number of job components. Straight ranking requires an evaluator to order a group of employees from best to worst overall or from most effective to least effective in terms of a certain criterion. Force distribution is a form of comparative evaluation in which an evaluator rates subordinates according to a specific distribution. Unlike ranking methods, force distribution is frequently applied to several rather than only one component of job performance. Graphic rating scales are one of the most common methods of performance appraisal. Graphic rating scales require an evaluator to indicate on a scale the degree to which an employee demonstrates a particular trait, behavior, or performance result. Mixed standard scales are a relatively recent innovation in rating scales. They contain statements representing good, average, and poor performance based on behavioral examples obtained from knowledgeable person, usually supervisor. A behavioral checklist is a rating form containing statements describing both effective and ineffective job behaviors. These behaviors relate to a number of behavioral dimensions determined to be relevant to the job. Items from a behavioral checklist for a salesperson's job. Instructions. Please check those statements descriptive of an employee behavior. Calls on customer immediately after hearing of any complaints. Discuss complaints with customer. gather facts relevant to customer complaints, transmit information about complaints back to customer and resolve problems to their satisfaction, plans each day's activities ahead of time, lays out broad sales plans for 1 month ahead. Behaviorally anchored rating scale BARS are rating scales whose scale points are defined by statements of effective and ineffective behaviors. They are said to be behaviorally anchored in that the scales represent a continuum of descriptive statements of behaviors ranging from least to most effective. BARS differs from other rating scales in that scale points are specifically also. BARS differ from other rating scales in that scale points are specifically defined behaviors. Also, BARS are constructed by the evaluators who will use them. Management by objectives, MBO, involves setting specific measurable goals with each employee and then periodically discussing his or her progress toward these goals. The term MBO almost always refers to a comprehensive organization-wide goal setting and appraising program that consists of 6 main steps. Set the organization goals, establish organization-wide plan for next year and set goals, set departmental goals. Here department heads and superiors jointly set goals for the departments, discuss and allocate department goals. These methods are the old methods of performance appraisal based on personal qualities, knowledge, capacity, judgment, initiative, attitude, loyalty, leadership, etc. The following are traditional methods of performance appraisal. Unstructured method of appraisal. Under this method, the appraiser has to describe his impression about the employee under appraisal in an unstructured manner. This is a simple method of performance appraisal. The orator has to list his comments specifically on qualities, abilities, attitude, aptitude, and other personal traits of the employees. This makes the method highly subjective in nature. Straight ranking method. In this technique, the evaluator assigns relative ranks to all the employees in the same work unit doing the same job. Employees are ranked from the best to the poorest on the basis of overall performance. This method is also highly subjective and lacks fairness in assessing the real worth of an employee. Did you know, in the 1950s in the United States of America, the potential usefulness of appraisal as a tool for motivation and development was gradually recognized. The performance appraisal is an essential part of the human resources department's contribution to an organization. An effective appraisal may not only eliminate behavior and work quality problems, it can motivate an employee to contribute more. Often, a company will ask its employees to perform 360-degree feedback that assesses peers and subordinates as well as supervisors and management. Regardless, the opportunity to receive and give constructive criticism should not be ignored. All too often, employees and managers do not get along and cannot understand why. Problems that stem from a lack of communication can sometimes be resolved with the performance appraisal. If the appraisal is used as an opportunity to describe the criteria on which performance is judged using meaningful and relevant examples, then the employee will walk away from the meeting with a better understanding of how to best perform his job. For example, John, when I say you need to be more customer focused, what I really want is to see you greet the customer with a smile when they enter the store and ask how you can help. The performance appraisal is the perfect opportunity to address long-term goals that may not be on the everyday to-do list. Not only does this provide the employee with an opportunity to be of greater use to an organization, the employee feels pleased and valued. Lighting the way toward a successful career path inspire loyalty and stability and can improve the bottom line, especially when the employee's first concern is the health of the business. Performance appraisal continues to be a subject of interest and importance to human resource specialists. For decades, performance appraisal has received considerable attention in the literature from both researchers and practitioners alike. Many authors maintain that there is a considerable gap between theory and practice and that human resource specialists are not making full use of the psychometric tools available. To support their claim, these authors cite surveys of practitioners concerning current performance appraisal methods and use. Nearly 2 decades ago, Taylor and Jaworski published the first of 2 articles that documented trends in performance appraisal usage among U.S. organizations. When comparing the result of 2 surveys taken 5 years apart, the authors noted a remarkable shift away from what they call collaborative approaches, example MBO, BARS, and toward the more traditional performance appraisal techniques, graphic rating scales. Taylor and Jaworski hypothesized that managers responding to the legal constraint prevalent in the 1980s preferred techniques that were defensible in court. Accordingly, managers tended to be more satisfied with the objective traditional approaches, whereas their subordinates seemed to prefer the developmental collaborative methods. In consonance with the philosophy of human resource development that has replaced the erstwhile personal management in many organizations, more emphasis has been laid on the appraisal of the employees' potential in addition to their performance. Performance is a thing of the past, while potential includes the possible knowledge, skills, and attitudes the employee may possess for better performance. The purposes of a potential review are to inform employees of their future prospect, to enable the organization to draft a management succession program, to update training and recruitment activities, to advise employees about the work to be done to enhance their career opportunities. The following are some of the recruitment and steps to be followed when introducing a potential appraisal system. A good potential appraisal system would be based on clarity of roles and function associated with different roles in an organization. This requires extensive job description to be made available for each job. Besides a job description, it is necessary to have a detailed list of qualities required to perform each of these functions. These qualities may be broadly divided into 4 categories: technical knowledge and skills, managerial capabilities and qualities, behavioral capabilities, and conceptual capabilities. A good potential appraisal system, besides listing down the functions and qualities, would also have various mechanisms for judging these qualities in a given individual. Some of the mechanisms for judging these qualities are rating by others, psychological tests, simulation games, and exercises. Once the functions, the qualities required performing these functions, indicators of these qualities, and mechanism for generating these indicators are clear, the organization is in a sound position to establish and operate the potential appraisal system. Such establishment requires clarity in organizational policies and systematization of its effort. If the organization believes in the development of human resources, it should attempt to generate a climate of openness. Such a climate is required for helping the employees to understand their strengths and weaknesses and to create opportunities for development. In a knowledge economy, organizations rely heavily on their intangible assets to build value. Consequently, performance management at the individual employee level is essential, and the business case for implementing a system to measure and improve employee performance is strong. Management time and effort to increase performance not only meets this goal, it also decreases turnover rates. How do we manage performance within the organization? The most common part of the process and the one with which we are most familiar is the process of the performance appraisal or evaluation. In this chapter, we will use the phrases performance evaluation, performance appraisal, and appraisal interchangeably. However, the performance appraisal process is not the only thing that's done in performance management. Performance management is the process of identifying, measuring, managing, and developing the performance of the human resources in an organization. Now, in the end, let us summarize what we have learned in this lecture. Performance appraisal helps to rate the performance of the employees and evaluate their contribution towards the organizational goals. The most difficult part of the performance appraisal process is measuring the actual performance of the employees, that is, the work done by the employees during the specific period of time. The essay method involves an evaluator's written report appraising an employee's performance, usually in terms of job behaviors and/or results. Appraisal systems should provide consistent, reliable, and valid information and data which can be used to defend the organization even in legal challenges. Performance appraisal continues to be a subject of interest and importance to human resource specialists. Performance appraisal are reviews of employee performance over time, so appraisal is just one piece of performance management.